Hey guys, happy Saturday. Thanks for stopping by for another episode here at alliseeisW, where we talk about stocks, Bitcoin, and finance. In today's video, I'll be sharing with you a broad spectrum of updates with Bitcoin. We'll be talking about Bitcoin treasury companies like Strategy, MetaPlanet. We'll also be covering Bitcoin miners, including miners tapping into the ETH treasury approach where we'll be talking about Mara, Riot, Clean Spark, Bit Digital, and I will be sharing with you one undervalued hidden gem. If you really believe in Dogecoin, we're seeing ETH, take off and Dogecoin really ramping up, but this company is doing something special with Dogecoin. So don't miss this hidden gem play. If you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you hitting the like, supporting the channel with the subscribe as well if you enjoy the content. Let's begin, guys.
I think that it's probably better to just observe a few things. One is Bitcoin has now been around for 15 years, and there has not been a Bitcoin 2.0. So there's no crypto 2.0. This is Bitcoin is the surviving chain. And Bitcoin has become a $2 trillion asset, which never in history, financial history, has anything reached $2 trillion and then disappeared. So we're not, it's a different argument if it was $100 billion.
Okay.
The third is the US government is reiterated its commitment to make Bitcoin a strategic reserve asset. That's not bad for the price of Bitcoin. So if someone is watching this and said, well, they don't understand Bitcoin, so they decide not to own it, it's a catastrophic way to look at market.
So there you heard it from Tom Lee. He's talking about how any asset that's gone over $2 trillion, it never went backwards. It'll continue to stack and exponentially increase. What does that mean? Bitcoin will eventually bypass all the Mag 7 companies. Bitcoin bypassed Amazon and Google recently, and eventually it's going to bypass Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and then eventually bypass gold as well. So what does this mean? Bitcoin is here to stay. Let's take a look at this post. There's not enough Bitcoin for everyone. Right now, you have the chance to own an asset others won't be able to in the future. If you're not taking advantage of being early, you're doing it wrong. In red, you see Bitcoin exchange reserves continues to go down. It's getting harder and harder to even have Bitcoin, while Bitcoin ETF holdings continues to go up. You look at BlackRock, they continue to stack Satoshis right now, and this is resulting in the reserves not having availability of Bitcoin. What this is a key, indicator of supply and demand as, supply, continues to go down, which we're seeing in red. Demand will go up, price will go up as well. Breadman posts is about strategy. So MSTR is expected to release its Q2 2025 earnings on Thursday after the market closes July 31st. The earnings report will be for the first quarter ending June 2025. The consensus earning per shares estimate is minus 12 cents according to Zacks investment research. Think about that. Why is it that MSTR's EPS is going to be in the negative zone? Has that not even factored in FASB accounting rules? This is really going to be a big shift. We're going to see a big reversal in the share price. It might even front run once we have that announced. Minus 12 cents. I think there's going to be huge upsides. People don't even realize this. And on top of that, icing on the cake, S&P 500. Think about that, guys. MSTR is going to have a very bull run in 2025. Romeo posts something that I'd like to share with you all as well and give him a follow as well. Red Day, which we saw yesterday with MSTR, obviously Bitcoin did have a pullback as well, but good. This is where the real investors are made. Wealth is built in silence, not in green candles. Don't let a screen dictate your mood. Enjoy your weekend, live your life, and let time do the compounding. Stay patient, stay bullish. The future is still ours. You are pre-rich. See you Monday. Dips are gifts. You know how MSTR operates. It's just prime right now. It's in that cup and handle formation and it's just gonna pop. So don't worry about it. Just enjoy, take a breather for the weekend. Next week we'll do it again. And we're going to see some fireworks as we head towards Q2 earnings report. Simon from MetaPlanet CEO posts, it appears that Charles Schwab is now our second largest holder with 61 million shares or close to 9% of MetaPlanet. Think about that. They own 9% of the company. This reflects a global movement that's growing. Japanese, American, and international investors are coming together around one mission, Bitcoin. You see all of the investors. You got National Financial Services, Charles Schwab, you have Bank of New York, Vanguard, Citigroup, JP Morgan, Invesco, all of these companies just touching on to, MetaPlanet. That just shows that this company has a future. And when a company has a future, you have financial institutions buying up stocks. We see this. And we're seeing, growing interests from America. What does this mean? There's an expectation that MetaPlanet share price will continue to go up, and we'll cover the technicals, so stay tuned for that. Here's an interesting post from someone who's an interested investor in MetaPlanet. By the time I got interested in MetaPlanet, it was $4. By the time I talked myself into starting a position, it ran to 15 in literally 3 trading days. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I didn't buy, I got left behind. I patiently waited for it to drop to $8 before I started aggressively buying. Once it hit $6, I deployed even more and I still thought it would go lower. Well, it didn't. We never saw $6 again. Point is, if you're contemplating a position in MetaPlanet, don't stop wasting time because when this bad boy is ready to take off, it is not coming back to these levels again. So definitely a similar use case. I saw this at $3, $4. I really wanted to get in, didn't have the funds at the time, and just seeing it just boost off like SpaceX. However, with this pullback, did dollar cost average around, that price point and even dollar cost average yesterday as well with that pullback again. Key moral of the story is continue stacking because MetaPlanet is just going to continue to go up. Their stack of Bitcoin right now, 16,000. They're in the top five when it comes to HODL. They're aggressively ramping up Bitcoin purchases, and we know Bitcoin, there's only 21 million available. There won't be more that's going to be out there. So they're just hodling all that right now, and we know what's to come in the future. Danny Chang posts about Mara. So he's saying the momentum bar for Mara this week is at $19. A sustained weekly close above this level could trigger further price momentum and vice versa. So here's an interesting take with what he's saying. I really do think that Mara, is showing some nice, movements over the recent weeks and months. It dropped down to $9.80. Now we're seeing it climb back up to, $20. I really do see as we head into the rest of 2025, there's going to be huge upside for Mara. Again, they have 50,000 Bitcoins on their balance sheet. And Fred Thiel is getting a public presence right now, even with the Genius Act bill signed with stablecoin crypto, getting more recognition. Mara was even a speaker at that event. There's a telling Mara is getting a public presence, and when we see like CEOs of Coinbase also involved, them getting involved in the S&P 500, there's just going to be so much activities going on. Mara is becoming one of the big boy plays. Magnus posts about CleanSpark. So just put this into perspective. CleanSpark is almost 50% this month. What did we see back in January through March? I mean, it dropped from like $18 to like $6. I mean, that's like 200% drop. So climbing up 50% really isn't much, but hey, good news is we're above $10. We're treading the waters right now. We're above $12. It's consolidating. It's just going to slowly continue to climb up. That's a good thing. We don't want the relative strength to just shoot up because there's always going to be pullbacks with high RSI shoot ups. Let's continue to climb the ranks. And I really do forecast that CleanSpark is going to get to levels we wouldn't expect. I'll share that with the technicals that's going to be coming up very soon. And Rich Trades posts about RIOT platform. So he has an interesting take. One of the best looking monthly charts on the market, massive breakout last week, top watch. So here's an interesting take. I mean, on the monthly scale, just looking at this for, 3 years now. I mean, it's just been hovering down, continues to challenge the bull flag, keeps getting rejected. You see lower lows on the resistance, and just recently we broke through that consolidation period on the monthly. This is a key indicator you want to watch when you look at a long-term bull flag where we're going to see a potential squeeze. Calio keeps talking about this. He's saying that there's upside to 100 plus. We hear upside to 60 to 40 to 20 on the near term. You name it. There's so much potential right now. The bears are fearful. Sam Tabar, CEO of Bit Digital BTBT, give Sam a follow. Look at this interesting take from him. He's saying, I was a dorky fat kid in the 80s. That kid is still inside me, although that's an Apple computer behind me. Technology has come a long way. Tech development only accelerating. So embrace change. Don't be dogmatic to beliefs. Embrace new shit and always stay curious. I mean, look at this. Sam Tabar, he's a whiz kid. He's the new sailor right now when we look at Ethereum treasury companies. So just be on the lookout. Sam Tabar is making shit happen right now. And I think the stock price is gonna, be very favorable to investors. Cointelegraph posts, 2 days ago, Bit Origin BTOG to raise $500 million dollars. This is a Singaporean company that's using $500 million dollars to buy Dogecoin, making it the first US listed company to adopt Doge as a core treasury asset. We're seeing what's happening with Ethereum, Dogecoin having a nice run up. What does this mean? Are we going to see Dogecoin make a nice run up similar to what we've seen over the many years when altcoins run? If this puppy Dogecoin takes off, BTOG is going to take off as well, even higher potentially. Let's talk about technical analysis. So, where we are right now on the daily, we're looking from March through July. I mean, this is just a beautiful chart that we're looking at. I mean, we had that pullback, from like 100K to 75K. Everyone was fearful at that time. Everyone was selling off Bitcoin while financial institutions continue to stack Bitcoin, buying the dips. But what happened? Bitcoin broke through that Ichimoku cloud. Then it was sunshine and rainbows. We're hovering above the cloud. That's a good thing. We don't want to be below the cloud. That cloud will create gravity and bring down that price. We're continuing to create disparity away from the cloud as we talk about, Bitcoin having potential to get to 200,000. If we follow the last bull cycle, we're going to land somewhere around that 200, 250K cycle. What does this mean? Bitcoin is here to stay. It's getting more scarce. We have a pro crypto president. We just got the Genius Bill Act signed. And we heard about, the Bitcoin Act of 2025, where the government plans to buy up 1 million Bitcoin in the next 5 years. I think soon we're going to hear more about that. But this is creating a crypto ecosystem with the mother coin Bitcoin price continuing to go up. This is looking very bullish for 2025. With Bitcoin having a nice, healthy consolidation as it continues to climb up, what does this mean for strategy? Yes, Friday we saw a pullback with Bitcoin, with strategy. However, just put this into perspective. Even though we had a down day Friday, this is looking very polished for the next run up. Just look at the technicals. I mean, we had RSI back in November squeeze all the way up to close to 90 RSI. We haven't had an RSI of that level recently. It's been many months out. Bitcoin continues to run to 150. MSTR is going to shoot up. Think about, just Q1 to Q2 difference in terms of the price of Bitcoin. All of that's unrealized gains in the multiple billions of dollars. MSTR is going to announce that July 31st. We're going to see really, really nice numbers, and that's going to be reflected. And people are going to get interested. People are going to buy financial institutions right now, like, BlackRock, Vanguard buying tons and tons of MSTR right now. It's interesting because you got Vanguard who doesn't buy Bitcoin, but hey, they're like the biggest investor of strategy. So put that into perspective. They're hedging MSTR because MSTR is the ultimate leverage with Bitcoin. What does this mean? Technicals are looking good. MACD, RSI slowly climbing, slowly but surely in this cup and handle formation, ready, primed to break out. I have this forecasted to $1,000 at a minimum by 2025. Let's take a look at MetaPlanet, MTPLF, technical analysis. We talked about the fundamentals, but let's go through the technicals. Obviously, we saw that run up where RSI ran up to 94. I mean, this puppy went from $2 to $15. Definitely RSI will stabilize. It'll have some pullback, which we are seeing, after that MACD divergence pattern with those green histograms. And now we're seeing bearish convergence with the red downward histograms. That's expected, and we also see RSI cooling off. This is a good thing. The dollar cost average, I dollar cost averaged as well. MSTR, MetaPlanet, when they run, they will run, and that's going to be based off of, Bitcoin price. But just look at this, now, at 8.99, this is definitely a steal. Yes, it would have been better buying at $4. However, if you missed a boat there, here's an opportunity as well. Why? Because I believe that we're going to see MetaPlanet, the price pop up to like 17 to the upside. That's going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, months. So just remain patient. Last couple months since May has been quiet, but this is time where you continue to dollar cost average stack MetaPlanet because it's just going to be up from here as Bitcoin continues to appreciate. Let's take a look at Mara technical analysis. So we're looking at it from a long-term perspective. Yes, on the left, you see, that big climb up 2021 on the monthly candles. Will history repeat itself? I mean, relative strength during that time over around 90. It's been quiet for the last 5 years, but on the monthly, we continue to see four green monthly candles. So that's a good thing. We want to see that on the monthly scale as we have a zoomed out perspective. I think, the next month we're gonna, climb up to that $25. And as we scale out, heading closer towards year end, who knows? This puppy might be, at different levels. I mean, we've seen the squeeze that's happened with Mara. I mean, we're gonna break through $20, $30 in the next couple weeks, but this puppy can fly. I mean, no one's really talking about Mara, but I really do think that it's going to have that squeeze-like potential, just given the nature of the whole crypto environment right now with the public presence with Mara, speaking with the executive director for crypto, Bo Hines, there's so much upside. There might be partnerships between Mara and the government coming. Let's take a look at RIOT platforms. So we are looking at it from a long-term perspective. We're looking at monthly candles. Look at this. I mean, we've seen that 2020 run top, where RSI shot up, 95 and it ran up to $80 and then it bled out, through 2022 during that bear cycle. And then, once we had that bull cycle take off again, this has been hovering in this bull flag for so long. A lot of people were wondering why is it that Bitcoin price is going up, but the miners are not correlating with that. Well, that's the inverse relationship. But now we're beginning to see like similar to what's going on. I mean, with Riot, share price, on Friday, it had 4% gain. But the key thing I want to point out is, you know, it had years of consolidation. It kept getting rejected in this long 3 year bull flag channel. And just recently on the monthly, we broke out of this flag. So it's going to be interesting. Anytime when this happens, when you have price action breakout of a bull flag, key thing is with this being a 3 year bull flag, it's time for this puppy to start flying similar to like altcoin type of run up. Who knows how high this can, go. I really do think on the minimum on the near term, it's going to break through that $20 and we'll see that speed of light kick in where it could just shoot up. Callio's saying 100 plus don't rule that out. I wouldn't be surprised if it does happen. If so, great. But just be on the lookout for this. This puppy has potential to just squeeze. Let's take a look at Clean Spark. Clean Spark, beautiful, activities we're seeing right now. We see the sine waves with the green, histograms on the monthly candles. I mean, we've seen back in 2020, this puppy ran all the way up to like $36. And then it was 2023 when it went from $3 to $24, 800% gain. And are we going to see a similar pattern that we've seen back in 2020, 2023, where, it had that nice wave up? And I really do think that, on the near term, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to get to $22 as we head towards 2025. I'm putting my forecast somewhere around that $38 is my prediction with Clean Spark. But look at it. I mean, if it goes from 12, 24, 36, that's an upside, that's a big time upside there. I mean, that's like, over, 2 to 3x. So be on the lookout. Clean Spark is definitely going to have a nice run up, and it may potentially just squeeze even higher than where, I'm forecasting it to be. Bit Digital. Why do I like Bit Digital so much? Well, we're hearing a lot about the news with Ethereum treasury companies. Bit Digital, they sold off their Bitcoin and they converted it all to Ethereum. They're continuing to aggressively buying Ethereum, and they won't stop. Sam Tabar, he's making a lot of things happen right now. Also with AI, white fiber in their business model, where the current price is right now, so undervalued, 384. Just with 2021 when the RSI peaked at 80, I mean, it had that run up to like $33. Long-term perspective, so much upside. I really think in the near term, couple weeks, $7 is what we're looking at, and somewhere in the year 2025, we're going to see that breakthrough, that $10 range. Really big potential with, Bit Digital shifting gears, becoming an Ethereum treasury company. So having that diversification approach with an ETH type of play, really look into BTBT. Here's an interesting play that I've been, talking about just recently on my last couple of videos. BTOG, Bit Origin. So we heard about company out in Singapore. They're stacking right now. Dogecoin, $500 million worth. If Dogecoin breaks through, like, has a big squeeze, this puppy, I think, can just go to like $5 on the near term. We're seeing some nice run-ups just recently. I mean, on Thursday, it had a 100% field day. Friday, it had like a 20% gain. I continue to stack, even on Thursday. Friday, I added more, at 80 cents. Um, Thursday at 55 cents. I really do think that soon enough, next week may very well break through $1 and we may be headed to like $5, $10, through the year 2025. Be on the lookout for this if you want a hidden gem play. Who knows what can happen, right? Especially investing in this environment, but the returns can be very favorable. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. There was a lot of information we covered. Put it in the comments what you enjoyed most about the video. What's your perspective? What questions do you have? How high do you think, the crypto market can go, whether it's Bitcoin, the Bitcoin treasury companies, the miners, Ethereum treasury companies, or even, hidden gem plays. Share it down below. I'd love to read it all and where you're watching from. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you on the next one. Take care.